Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, January 9th, 2016. This is episode 1251. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of Super Tank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. And by Headspace. Train your mind for a healthier, less stressed life. Download the free Headspace app and begin their Take 10 program for 10 days of guided meditation at headspace.com/techguy. And by Texture, the mobile app that lets you access the world's most popular magazines anytime, anywhere, using your phone or tablet. For your free 30-day trial, visit texture.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to talk about it. I'm here to listen. Your question, your comment, your suggestion, your hot topic, 8888 Ask Leo. Of course, this was the big weekend, or the big week, just wrapping it up now, for the Consumer Electronics Show, except they don't want you to call it that anymore. They say CES. It doesn't stand for anything. And I think that's probably unwittingly the truest thing anybody said about CES. It doesn't stand for anything. It's just, I wonder why it still exists, to be honest. It's just a zoo, thousands of exhibitors, many football fields worth of booths, and what were the big things we saw at CES? What was the number one story at CES? I think it was the Samsung refrigerator that has a camera inside it, so you can look and see what's in your fridge. Oh wow. What the? So you're saying they close the door and the light stays on, I guess, is the new thing. Who cares? Really? And haven't they been advertising, not just Samsung, but everybody, kitchen refrigerators with various internet connections for years? Now you may say, I hear you saying it, oh Leo, that's just sour grapes because you didn't go to CES this year. Yeah, you could say that. It's also, you could say it's why I didn't go to CES, because it's been kind of like that for the last few years. It's too bad, because it used to be, you'd say, hey, what was new and hot at CES? But it is no longer the land of invention for a couple of reasons. One is companies finally realized, I don't know why it took them so long, this is the worst place to announce a new product, because you're going to be swamped by 1,000 other new product releases. Nobody's going to notice. That's why Apple, Microsoft, all the big companies, except Intel, oddly enough. But Intel doesn't really sell to end users, so maybe that's why. They've abandoned CES. They don't go to CES anymore. Bill Gates used to give the keynote there every Sunday the night before CES, and it was, what is it, Microsoft going to... nothing to say now. Nothing new. And if they're going to say something, they'll have it at one of their shows. However, we still, we look at CES to be a trendsetter, a bellwether of what will be to come in consumer electronics over the year 2016. I always have to tell everybody, no, don't get too excited, because a lot of the things you see announced at CES will never become products, for the simple reason that they're there to kind of test the waters, see if people are interested. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, was there. Walked, I'm sure, his usual 20 miles. And we'll talk to him about half an hour. And I think there is something to say there. Usually is about TVs. every year over the past 10 years, there's been something new at CES to get people excited because the HD TV industry is dying. Because you only buy one every 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So it's what we call a saturated market. 3D, you're going to want a new TV for 3D. No, it turns out not. Okay, 4K. Well, yeah, if there were anything to watch on it. Now the new thing is, and there's a new standard, finally, HDR, 4K with high dynamic range. You know, one of the problems for the TV manufacturers is you can't see how good a new TV looks on your old TV. It never looks any better than your old TV, right? It can't. There's no way to look at it and say, oh, wow, that's a big improvement. You have to see it in person. So unless you were in Las Vegas, not that much to say. There were some interesting trends. Smart homes, as for the last 15 years, home automation's been a big topic at CES. Every year it disappoints. Every year somebody says, we're going to kickstart this home automation thing. Not just cameras in your refrigerators, but garage doors that open when you get near them. Doors that lock and unlock as you come and go without any intervention on your part. That seems like a bad idea, doesn't it? Give me a key, please. A physical key. Well, there was, of course, as usual, a lot of home automation stuff. Google and Microsoft and Apple all want to be your next home automation provider. This market has never really taken off. Interesting, though, Amazon kind of they weren't at CES. They didn't have to be because the Amazon Echo, that black tube that they sell for $200 that you talk to and you say, hey, Echo, what time is it? Hey, Echo, set a timer. Hey, Echo, who's the president? You ask the thing questions, kind of like your smartphone. Turns out all the new home automation guys are trying to make it so that you can talk to your Echo, and your Echo will do something like, hey, Echo, how much gas is left in my tank? Ford showed that. Hey, Echo, open the garage door, please. Hey, Echo, unlock the front door, please. You can now talk to your house. Now I'm interested. That might be there's something there. I'm really stretching, you can tell. There were some drones, but we knew there'd be drones. Was there anything new in drones? Not really. A drone that a human can sit in? Okay, but that's a gimmick. Do you want... Woohoo! My friend David Pogue, who is the Yahoo tech guy, former New York Times tech guy, wrote a piece on the 4 biggest tech trends at CES. HDR television, number 1. Okay, I'll give you that. Virtual reality goggles. Yeah. But CES didn't have any big announcements. Just, right before CES, Oculus said you can now buy them. It's Oculus Rift glasses for $599. Oh, incidentally, before you buy them for $600, you might want to check to see if your computer can handle it, and it can't. None of my Windows PCs are powerful enough. So now I have to spend money, at least $1,000, probably more, to build a computer so I can use the VR glasses to play some silly game. See, that's why Google Cardboard is a good idea. Because Google Cardboard is a $2 piece of cardboard you put your smartphone in. But, David also says the Internet of Things. That's like, smart refrigerators. In fact, he even mentions the refrigerator with a camera inside. Everybody does. There's no other story. A couple of years ago, the big story at CES was a vibrating fork. The Happy Fork. It would vibrate for some reason I can't remember, and no one bought it. I don't even know if they ever made it. That was the story. Self-driving vehicles, is that a news story? Not really. Wearables, smart watches. I guess there's a new Fitbit. I ordered that. It's like a wristwatch. Are you excited? Call me, 8888 Ask Leo. What are you excited? What is this about? What does this mean? Does it mean we've reached the end of the line in innovation? No, I don't think so. I can't imagine that's true. It's just not rearing its pretty little head at the Consumer Electronics Show, which stands for nothing. So you didn't miss anything, in other words. You didn't miss a thing. Here's a company, coffeeripples.com. Chat room saying, oh, I was excited about coffeeripples.com. It lets you 3D print on your coffee. How do we ever live without that? I don't know. Thank goodness somebody came along and invented coffee printing. What would we have done? I've said this every year for the last few years, but I think we can finally just put a nail in it. Now, there are some trade shows coming up, but unfortunately, they're not in the U.S. There's the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona is coming up in a couple of months. The IFA conference in Berlin. This is where there'll be new smartphones. That's the area where there's a lot of innovation, I think. There's still stuff to come, but CES stands for nothing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. When you call that number, you will be said hello to. That's a terrible construction.
Said hello to.
You will be said hello to. This is why the passive voice is a terrible thing. This wonderful person, Kim Schaffer, will say hello to you.
That works better.
Yes. Will prepare you for your appearance on national radio. Will tell you not to stare at Leo's nose. Yes, it's bigger than you think. And then she's going, what?
What happened while I was
Whatever
gone?
you do, don't look him in the eye. Okay? And then a button will be pushed, a sound, there will be a little chime on your phone, and you will be on the air. Isn't that how it happens?
I do believe.
You say,
yes.
Whatever you do, do not stare at Leo. Avert your eyes, and do not turn your back on him. I'm just being silly. Was I gone? I think I was gone.
You were gone.
I think I was on vacation.
Gone.
I don't even remember
We
it
were
now.
all gone.
We took a week off for Christmas, because who's going to listen to a radio show on the Christmas weekend? Nobody. So we did it. I'm going to tell you the truth. We did a rerun on that weekend. Last weekend, we had a brand new show for you, but I had recorded it earlier. Now I'm live, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Could we do this?
I might be alive.
If we weren't live? So now we're live, all new, and that means the phone number is turned on. 8888 Ask Leo, and Kim Schaffer is here to answer. Kim, who should I start with?
How about Scott in Richland going on vacation and wants to know about his wireless digital camera?
Okay. Thank you, Kim. Hello, Scott from Richland.
Hi, good morning, Leo.
Good morning. How are you?
Alive, which beats the alternative.
Yes. Is it pouring in Richland?
No, I'm in eastern Washington, next to the world's biggest nuclear dump.
Well, there's something to be proud of. You're in the dry side. You're in the rain shadow.
Correct.
Is it really, really, really dry?
We average 7 inches of rain a year.
Yikes, schmikes, double Mike's pikes. That's dry.
But we have the Columbia River fed from the Canadian Rockies.
Beautiful. So you got water.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Sounds like a nice place.
If you don't mind the nuclear dump, it's great.
Oh, just ignore the nuclear dump. Pretend it doesn't exist. It doesn't glow at night or anything, does it?
Oh, it's beautiful.
We have northern lights. What can I do for you?
Okay, so setting the scene. Going on vacation to Australia.
Nice. That's a great place to go.
Well, we're going to spend all of our time in Northeast Australia.
Northeast. Okay.
Cairns.
The gold country.
Well, where the Great
Gold
Barrier
Coast.
Reef
Yes.
meets Australia, basically.
Yeah. I was in They call it Cairns.
Okay, well,
Cairns. I was in Cairns. I was in Cairns because we saw the great eclipse there, and then we went swimming the Great Barrier Reef, and that's so much fun. So wonderful. Oh, you're going to love it. Beautiful. And you're going in the summertime.
Now, isn't it true that you didn't actually see the eclipse?
Well, the captain decided that for some reason I don't really fully understand. The reason we were on a boat, we were on a cruise ship to do it with a bunch of astronomers, is because in theory the cruise ship can sail around the clouds and find. We were watching the eclipse, and all of a sudden the captain decides to sail, and the clouds cover it, and we missed it. And boy, there was a very famous, I won't name his name, but very famous physicist on board who was livid. He was so angry at the captain. I mean, the captain's got to do what the captain's got to do. He's the captain. So
he was concerned about your UV exposure.
Maybe that was it. But we saw that. We didn't see totality completely. We saw most of it. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, you're going to love it. Friendly people, wonderful country, beautiful, lots to see. The Gold Coast is gorgeous. You're going to have a great time. So what can I do to make that better?
Okay, well, I understand that photos up in a cloud are full quality, and then we'll send you whatever you need for whatever screen you're viewing it on.
That's the Apple thing, yeah. You're talking about Apple's photos.
Correct.
Yeah. So the way it works, if you turn on the iCloud photo library, and it even says it there, is that the originals will be uploaded to the cloud, offloaded from your phone to save space, and then they'll have little smaller versions on your phone.
Okay, well, that's where my question is. I have a Nikon J5, connects with Wi-Fi to the tablet.
I love that. Isn't that awesome? I do that with my Sony. I love that.
Well, I'm going to load so it'll go from the Nikon to the iPad up to the cloud.
Right.
Will I get full quality photos up in the sky?
Yeah, but they won't be the same. Now, so this is actually a very good question. Most cameras, I presume the Nikon's one of them, even if you're shooting JPEGs, you can shoot JPEGs or RAWs with most cameras. RAW means everything that comes off the sensor. JPEG means we're going to squeeze it as much as we can to preserve quality but make the file size smaller. Pros, serious photographers often shoot RAW because they want to process it later, but most casual photographers and many point-and-shoots just shoot JPEGs. So there is a high-quality JPEG on that memory card. There is also, and this is probably true on your camera, most cameras, a smaller, lower-quality JPEG that's the one you see in the viewer. And it's attached as metadata to the larger file. And that makes sense. You don't need to, you wouldn't have time, you wouldn't want to wait for the larger file display on that little LCD screen. In many cases, and you'll have to check, look, you can do this by checking file sizes. When you copy photos from your camera to your smartphone, it's copying the lower quality JPEG anyway. And that's to save time, because it's going to look just as good on your phone as it does on that little LCD. It may not be, though, the same size and the same quality as the JPEG you would take off via the USB or taking the card out and put it in the computer. So you should check. You should not assume that just because you've used that camera app on your smartphone to offload your pictures that you now can erase your memory card. I wouldn't do that. Keep a copy on your memory card, because in most cases, I believe that's a higher quality copy.
You've answered my question. Wonderful.
Okay, and you know what I do? Because memory cards are cheap now. Think of them as rolls of film. Buy enough for the trip and don't erase them, because that's your primary copy. You can make other copies in other places, on a computer, an external hard drive, on your phone. Share those. They're great for Instagram and Facebook. That's fine. The quality's plenty there. But I always like to have 2 copies of the original off the camera. One of them is going to be on my memory card, and one of them I will copy to a computer. And sometimes what I do, if I'm really, paranoid, is I'll make a third copy on an external hard drive, and I'll put one of them in my luggage and one of them in my carry-on, and use Google Photos or iCloud Photo Library or Flickr or one of Amazon Photos, one of the many services, OneDrive, to have a copy there too. Then I don't have to worry. None of my photos will be lost. You're going to see stuff that you won't see again probably, right? It's a trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, this is our 25th anniversary Christmas.
Yeah, so you want to save all of them. So I think this is a good strategy. Just remember, what's on that card may not be the same quality. You can do some sleuthing by looking at the file sizes, but it may not be the same quality as the one that you offload to the smartphone. And that's the key to pay attention. Get extra SD cards. They're cheap. And keep those somewhere safe. That's your original. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, on the line with us right now. He's still in Vegas. Scott Wilkinson. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Hey, Leo, doing good. How about you?
I don't know why. I've been gone 2 weeks, and I forgot how to use the equipment here.
I went blank there, but now I'm back.
Thank you, Scott. So you're still in Vegas?
I am. Yeah, I'm a bitter ender. I do all 4 days.
At the CES, which stands for nothing show. So you're there with the one category where CES I think is worth going to, and that's because, as I mentioned, you can't tell how these new screens look on your TV. You have to see them in person.
That's right. I mean, even we shoot video here and so on, and even that you can't really see too well because of what this thing I've been talking about for a while called high dynamic range.
And that makes sense. Your existing TV cannot reproduce what the new TVs can do, so you got to look at it. And
right.
The only way to see it now is to go to CES because, of course, it's not on dealers yet, and that's what.
That's not 100% true. So Samsung has had high dynamic range sets in 2015, and I don't honestly know how much dealers are demonstrating that.
Are they better, though, the ones you see at CES? Is this some new high dynamic range?
Well, yes and no. A lot more companies are now using a technology called quantum dots in the backlight of the LCD TVs, which tend to produce a wider range of colors, and they also help with making high dynamic range possible. So, yes, this year's high dynamic range TVs are definitely better than last year's, no question about it.
Good. And there's a standard.
Yes. This is the big news in my opinion, from my world anyway.
Last time we talked, there were two competing standards in HDR and Ultra HD, the 4K stuff. Is that still the case?
It is, but what I learned at CES here this year a little bit more about is that they are somewhat interoperable, at least in one direction. Well, we learned a couple of things. We've known already that Ultra HD Blu-ray is coming, and it really is coming. We saw 3 players at the show this year, and the studios have announced that they'll have at least 100 titles throughout this year, 2016.
And I saw on your Home Theater Geeks podcast that they're not like outrageously expensive.
No, these players are like in the $400 range.
So it's a lot. It's 10 times more than a DVD player.
Well, true, but the first Blu-ray player that came out was from Samsung, and it cost $1,000.
Right.
When it first came out.
So if they're 400 now, they'll be 100 in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there'll be 100 movies in a year.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
And we know that the Ultra HD or the UHD Alliance, which is an industry consortium of a bunch of companies, set forth some performance requirements in order to get certified, so to speak. And, so we now have a better idea of what a TV needs to do in order to take full advantage of this high dynamic range and wide color gamut and so on.
They actually set out a spec.
Yeah.
Something like it has to have 90% of the potential colors and blah, blah,
Correct.
blah.
And it has to have 1,000. Well, interestingly, the peak brightness is an interesting one because LCD TVs basically have to have a peak brightness of what's called 1,000 nits or 1,000 candelas per meter squared, which is about 10 times what current TVs are supposed to do. Now, current TVs typically get up to 400 or 500 nits, but the content is all mastered or graded for 100 nits. Now it's going to be mastered or graded at least 1,000 nits.
That sounds blinding.
Well, yes and no. It is.
If the TV goes all white, you're going to go, ah!
No, that's not true. That's a misconception.
Okay.
Basically, that 1,000 nits, that very high brightness, is basically reserved only for what are called specular highlights. So
the little burning bits of sun that J.J. Abrams puts in his Star Trek and Star Wars.
Exactly.
The solar flares, sun flares.
Yeah, those little tiny bits of the image could reach 1,000 nits.
That's good, though, but that's how it would be in real life. In other words, it's more realistic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's the point. It's really looking more like reality.
So what's the name of this standard? I presume we should look for sets that adhere to it.
Correct, and they will have they've developed a logo. It's called Ultra HD Premium, and it has a logo, and it was developed in order for consumers to be assured that that they're getting this performance level. And
All right, now, I don't want to sneeze in your cheese here, but a year ago, Samsung and the Alliance announced SUHD.
Well, that wasn't the Alliance. That was Samsung. That's their proprietary company.
Oh, okay. And they were selling those, and they said we'll have Blu-ray players with SUHD content, blah, 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 by the end of 2015.
Yeah, well,
that's not the standard anymore. In fact, that must be why Samsung was cutting half price off their TVs all during the holiday season.
Well, that may be. Their SUHD TVs are the ones that they have that do high dynamic range.
But they're not UHD Premium, or are they?
Well, they are. The 2016 ones are.
Okay, so the one you see, I told you not to buy a 4K TV yet.
I said the same thing. I absolutely said the same thing.
Is it safe to buy one now if you could find one with a UHD Premium logo?
Absolutely, absolutely. I say yes, absolutely, no question. Not only will that premium logo be on TVs, it'll also be on Blu-ray players and on content.
Okay, so you're going to look for that, and we said there were two standards, but this is the one that's going to win.
Well, this standard basically can include both of the HDR standards. Okay. They are compatible. They're interoperable.
Okay. Two more questions.
Yeah.
Are there any OLED UHD premium TVs? Because you know me, I like to spend money.
And yes, LG's OLEDs are Ultra HD Premium certified, and they look gorgeous.
Are those the best looking TVs you saw there?
Absolutely, no question.
And how's the 3D TV thing going? Is that really taken off? Because I know that a couple of years ago at CES, that was the next big thing.
3D, what's that?
Was anybody showing a 3D TV?
Well, actually, LG did have in their booth a section with kind of a tiled video wall that was 3D, and they were passing out glasses, but I didn't see it anywhere else.
Remember a couple of years ago at CES, maybe it was last year, there was that big 3D wall that was how you entered CES, and you'd get glasses, and you'd come into that's gone.
That was the LG booth. That was the LG booth, yeah. This year, their big main entrance was basically sort of a planetarium with 120-some OLEDs arranged all around and overhead. Yeah. It was like
I like OLED, and I think UHD Premium OLED might be very good.
Oh, it's going to be spectacular. I can't wait to try one myself.
All right, Scott, thank you for joining us. How many miles? How many miles?
24.24.
He wears a pedometer. He's insane. Scott Wilkinson. You can find him at AVS Forum. Find out more and our Home Theater Geeks podcast, twit.tv/HTG. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up right after this. Oh, what fun. That sounds like... So did you have a good time? Did you see anything else interesting?
Yeah, I did, actually. Sony showed a technology demo that isn't in a product this year. They hope maybe next year. Basically, a backlighting technology for LCD that's going to just blow LCD out of the water. They claim... LCD is a pretty mature technology.
Yeah.
But they came up with this backlight system that is phenomenal, phenomenal. And they had a prototype there that was achieving 4,000 nits of peak brightness. And I saw a demo of it, and that was almost eye-searing. I mean, that was getting almost too bright, even for those small bits of super bright area.
I don't want a TV that hurts.
Yeah, right, exactly. But you know how local dimming, full array local dimming, you have LEDs behind the panel, and at the areas of the image that are dark, they dim, and the areas of the image that are bright, they brighten.
Yeah.
Typically this year we saw full array local dimming TVs with 200, 300, 400 zones. This thing had well over 1,000 zones. So they actually took away the LCD part of it, and we're just looking at the backlight.
Wow.
It looked like a black and white image of the color image.
Interesting.
So
now OLEDs don't need zones because they're not backlit, right?
No, correct.
They're emissive.
Correct.
So,
yes, and so in fact each zone is one pixel.
You get mega zones, yeah.
Mega zone, yeah. You get 8 million zones on a 4K.
Yeah. So how much were just tell me the damage? How much was the LG OLED?
Well, they weren't really saying.
Yeah.
But, it's going to be, I think the 65-incher is probably going to be in the $8,000 range. 55-incher, maybe 5 or 6. It's not, it's certainly expensive, no question about that, but it's not like outrageous, unbelievable.
Yeah.
LG had a 98-inch LCD TV, 8K. Oh, and dig this. I should have said this on the air. Samsung had basically a tiled TV with a bunch of LCD panels put together, not with bezels. It looked like one single TV, 170 inches.
Wow.
And it was high dynamic range at that.
We saw on the boat. I'll give you some video and stuff, but they have First of all, they had 18 12K projectors. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, on the back, and what they do is they cover the windows in the back of the boat and they make it a screen and they project on there, and it's gorgeous. But then on robotic arms, on Porsche, the same arms used to make Porsches, they have 100-inch LCDs screens that 8 of them that are in synchronization. They dance around, and it's pretty.
Oh man!
It's $27 million theater. It's a pretty amazing.
Wow!
Yeah.
What boat was that?
This is the Anthem of the Seas. It's when they launched it in April. It's a $1.4 billion boat. It was mind-boggling, and they're building more. They've got even a more expensive one coming along this year.
Wow!
The Harmony of the Seas.
Oh, that must have been amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had a great time.
I did, and I'm sad to be back. But I'm glad I'm not at CES. When do you come home?
I come home tomorrow. I drive home tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm heading over to the Venetian. I'm going to actually hear a little audio before I go.
All right. Well, I'm sure you don't want to stick around, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, I gotta boogie.
Okay. Take care. Thank you, Scott.
My pleasure. See you later.
Bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Great to talk to Scott Wilkinson from Las Vegas. Just a word of warning that all the TVs you see and all this news you hear in general from CES is more a preview of what's going to come in almost a year at the end of 2016, not stuff you can buy today, which is probably good because the TV he described that I would love, which is the LG OLED UHD premium TV, they didn't announce a price, but we're thinking, $8 to $10 grand probably in that ballpark. So you could start saving now, just in case you wanted to. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Back to the phones we go. Carlos is in Santo Domingo. Hi, Carlos.
Hello, Leo.
Great to talk to you in the Dominican Republic.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Yes, I have a MacBook Aluminum late 2008, a bit old, and I've had it since college. And when I had Leopard in it, and also with no Leopard, I was able to install Windows 7 via Boot Camp Assistant.
Right.
But since, I believe, Lion, I haven't been able to do so. It has been asking me for a physical CD, which I don't have. And after trying a lot, including modifying the code for the application, so it allowed me to install the OS without the physical CD because of the new MacBooks, they don't have CD-ROM.
Yeah, so it wouldn't take an ISO?
No, it can't. It doesn't recognize it.
Interesting.
I tried. I did install the Windows 10 without using Parallels, but my computer is old.
That's a different challenge. So Boot Camp and the Boot Camp Assistant with OS 10, and by the way, I don't know why this doesn't work because I've used this many times. It should work. The way Boot Camp works is basically makes your Mac a Windows machine, and in order for that to work, you have to get, obviously, Windows drivers from Apple for Apple-specific hardware. So the process of doing Boot Camp is a several-stage process. Sometimes you get problems because you've run out of space, because one of the things it has to do is repartition your drive. It has to take a chunk of your storage and make it be Windows compatible, kind of move everything over. A lot of times with an older computer, it can't do that because of fragmentation, because of lack of free space. So that could be one issue. It doesn't sound like it, but that could be one issue. So that's step one. It moves stuff over. You know this. Moves stuff over. Step two is it says, all right, I need to download drivers from Apple right now. Now, my experience has been, going back pre-Lion, is it will allow you to download those drivers. And it used to say on a CD, but now it will allow you to download those drivers on a USB key.
Yes, it allows me to download.
It does let you do that.
Drives.
Okay.
Yeah, but the problem is, I've tried many things. Like I said, I modified the code. I searched on a website, and it told me how to do that. So I told the application, look, this computer is allowed to install the OS without a physical CD-ROM. And
it shouldn't need a physical CD. Of course, nobody has a physical CD. So, exactly. So it shouldn't need one. I'm wondering, are you sure your ISO file is okay?
Yes, I used Windows provided, a Microsoft provided application.
You downloaded the ISO. You know, you might try downloading the ISO. You can download for free. Somebody's at your door. You want to get that? Go answer the door. I'll talk. You answer. You can download a known good ISO. ISO stands for the International Standards Organization, which doesn't tell you what an ISO is. It's a disk file that is an image of what would be on an installer. And actually, these days, it's not a CD; it's a DVD. So it's got everything that would be involved in the install DVD. And in most cases, in every case I've experienced, the boot camp assistant has no problem with that. In fact, it even gives you the chance to choose a file. They call it an ISO file, and say, you want me to install from this? Yes. So let's make sure you've got a good ISO. I would go to, Microsoft allows you to download a Windows 10 ISO. And you should not only download it, but Microsoft has I think it's an MD5 hash checker to make sure that the downloaded file is not corrupt, that it is exactly, bit for bit, exactly as Microsoft intended it. And I would run that and make sure that you got a good download, and then try it with that. Now, of course, you can't activate it. You get to try it for 30 days, and then it'll say, hey, you got to buy a key. But it will at least let you know if it's working. I can't think of any way that wouldn't work. And I'm not sure what the issue, to be honest, I'm not sure what the issue is. Again, the process is partition the drive, get Apple's drivers. You have to have Apple's drivers because it's Apple's hardware, right? The hardware manufacturer is the one that writes the drivers. And you have to have the drivers for the right version of Windows. And by the way, Apple doesn't give you a chance to choose that. So really what will happen is, depending on the age of the operating system and the computer, you'll have to use a version of Windows that, for instance, Windows 8 didn't work it probably wouldn't work on your computer for a long time. They didn't have drivers for it. So make sure you're getting the right drivers for the right edition of Windows. And then I think the only thing I can think of is you have a bad ISO. And that's, by the way, not at all uncommon. That file can be corrupted easily. It's a large file. It's several gigabytes. And it could be corrupted. Those are the only things I can think of. I know and I'd be nervous about modifying Boot Camp, by the way. I know that for a fact that it works because I've done it. Beatmaster is giving us a link to a GitHub site for a guy named Tim Sutton, and the site has a program on it called Brigadier that directly downloads the drivers from Apple. That's an easy thing to do if you know where they are. You just trick Apple into giving you the drivers. And presumably Brigadier, and by the way, you always want to download those drivers from apple.com and apple.com only. Do not get it from any other source. Brigadier will presumably let you choose. I would guess the real advantage of this is it would let you choose which version of Windows drivers you want to download, because you want to make sure that those drivers work for the version of Windows you're using. Not sure what the problem is, but there's some direction, and maybe the chat room can give us some additional help. Incidentally, we have a great website, techguylabs.com, and what we do with every show and every question on every show is we put the question, my answer, up there. We put links from the chat room, as in this case, we'll put that Brigadier link, James DeRufo does that as I'm talking. He's doing it right now at techguylabs.com. Later on, people will go there and probably add more. So if you're listening and you say, "Oh, I know exactly what Carlos needs," go to the website, techguylabs.com, and you can find today's show and the hour and the question and add your thoughts to it. techguylabs.com. Hey, I'm glad you're listening in Santo Domingo. That's really wonderful. It's good to have somebody in the Dominican listening. techguylabs.com, that's the website. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo. I'm back. I'll tell you a little bit about my adventures on the highest tech ship on the ocean today, the Anthem of the Seas. That's where I was. Wow. And I even posted some 3D videos on my YouTube channel if you want to see crazy robot bartenders, parachuting on board. Crazy. We'll talk about it when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, let me talk about Epson a little bit here before we come back. I want to talk to you about the EcoTank printers. What a great idea. If you go to epson.com/EcoTank, we just got our 1450 at home. Lisa loves it. It was kind of fun to put the ink in and to know, hey, that's it. I'm not going to be putting ink in for 10,000 pages. That's 2 years. We got the ET4550, 11,000 black pages of ink in the box, or 8,500 color pages in the box. That's about 50 ink cartridge sets. And it comes in these little bottles. You just fill it up and boom. No more, in the middle of the print job, hey, you're out of ink. It's powered, too. These printers are great by the precision core technology I've mentioned before. High-speed, vivid colors. I mean, like, the page is done. Laser quality black text. Auto two-sided printing. I use that a lot to save paper. 30-page auto document feeder that really works. And, of course, it works with tablets and smartphones. It supports all the wireless protocols. Mine is an all-in-one. I have a scanner built into it, too, so I scan to Google Cloud. I did that just the other day. Oh, I just love this. And the freedom to print without running out of ink. It's kind of brilliant, kind of super smart, kind of super cool. We love Epson. They got business class printers, too, with even more ink in the box, like 20,000 pages of ink in the box. Epson EcoTank printers. Find out more at epson.com/EcoTank. Epson, EPSON.com/EcoTank. CES Innovation Award nominee for 2016. Rightly so. This is a whole new way of thinking about printing, thanks to the leaders at Epson. I'm so proud of them for doing the right thing. EPSON.com/EcoTank. Epson, exceed your vision. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, anything with a chip in it. Phone number 888-827-5536. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. That's important. In fact, that's, if you want to remember one thing, remember Tech Guy, that's me, and my lab coat, mixing with my Bunsen burners and my beakers at the labs. So the techguylabs.com. That's what you want to remember, because if you hear me say something you're driving, you don't want to write it down like a link or an idea or a name of a product. You don't have to remember it. You only need to remember techguylabs.com. Nor do you need to remember the phone number, because it's there. The chat room is there. Everything you need is at techguylabs.com. So to save a lot of time, just remember that. And by the way, it's you may say, oh, Leo, you're probably telling everybody to do that because you make money on it. I don't. It's free. We don't make you sign up or anything. See, I like the idea, the old-fashioned thing, of a website that's free and open. You go there, you get what you want, you like it, you interact with it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to call. The website is techguylabs.com. So speaking of things with chips in it, I was on a boat for the last week, Royal Caribbean, and I actually flew to New Jersey so that I could get on this boat and do a Caribbean sail. By the way, Royal Caribbean did not know I was on the boat. I paid full price, but I mean full price for this. I didn't get a deal. I don't like to, get freebies, and because then I feel like you have to say nice things. So I want to be able to be honest, right? And the reason I wanted to go on this boat is because I was curious what the state of the art in cruise ships is, because this thing is undoubtedly state of the art. In fact, I was lucky. We got a tour of the bridge. It felt like the Starship Enterprise. It was amazing. It was amazing. The pod thrusters and just the technology. You know, there's no radio. It's all done with, you know, GPS and cell phones. You know, if there's a ship-to-shore communication, they make a phone call. There's no weather faxes. They get it all over the internet. That was, by the way, the best thing, and especially for geeks, you'll be happy to hear. This new cruise ship, and I think all of Royal Caribbean ships are using it, although I presume you should check, because I can't say that with certainty, but certainly the Anthem of the Seas, that's the name of this boat. Crazy name. I don't even know what that means. Anthem is like the national anthem. It's a song. Anyway, the Anthem of the Seas is using a new technology called O3B. And it is kind of next generation satellite internet designed for a variety of uses, but maritime is one of them. First of all, I've never been on a cruise ship where you could get unlimited data for $15 a day. Usually it's very expensive, very limited. And that's not a problem on most cruise ships because it's so slow, you're never going to use much anyway. You get up at 3 in the morning just to send an email. I got up at 3 in the morning to run a speed test, 25 megabits down, 5 megabits up on this ship. And even at the busiest peak hours, at noon on this ship, it was reasonably fast enough that I uploaded videos. I didn't try Skyping, but you could pretty much do anything you do at home. I was blown away. I've never had that experience in the middle of the Atlantic of really full-speed internet access. Very nice. Also, a lot of technology in the boat. They give you something called a WOW band, which is a rubber band with an RFID chip in it. And you pay for everything with that. You tap things with it. You can tap your door to get in with your WOW band. You still have the key cards, but you don't have to use them. The WOW band does it all. And you know, I hate the striped key cards. Hotels use these and the mag stripe on the key card because I have magnets and all my clothes have magnets. My phone has a magnet on the back. I erase cards like that. And I'm always going down and getting a new card. I've never had a problem on this boat because the RFIDs, those don't get erased. They had an app that tells you your schedule, the bookings you've made, your massage, your dinner, your show bookings, so you know where, and it shows up on your TV. They have giant screens everywhere that you can see where the boat is, what the weather is, what's going on, all sorts of information. I loved this. Touch screens, big, giant touch screens. Very high tech. And it was very cool as a result. Everybody's aware of probably the robot bar, and I did put a video of the robot bar on my YouTube site, youtube.com/Leo Laporte. You know, we'll put some links. I brought with me that, I've mentioned this before, the Theta from Ricoh, the Ricoh Theta S camera. It's a 360-degree camera. You press a button, it takes a picture all the way around you, but you can also shoot video. I shot about 5 or 6 videos of different things on the boat, so you can have the experience. In fact, you can use your Google Cardboard or your Gear VR to look around in the video. You don't have to look at me the whole time to see what's around, because it was perfect, because there was stuff all over that you could see. But I did a video like that of the robotic bartender, the robot bar. 2 industrial robotics arms, the kinds that are used in factories, like to make cars. These poor robots, all day long, all they do is mix drinks. It's crazy. You go there, you tap your WOW band to an Android tablet, and so it recognizes you, and that's so it can charge you as well. You enter your age just to make sure you're 21, because some of these drinks are alcoholic, not all. And then you pick your drink. They have a menu, or you can mix your own. You say go. The robot arm then goes zzz, zzz, zzz. It puts out a glass. It takes what it needs, shakes it around, pours it into the glass, and then you go up to the bar and you have to tap your WOW band to the bar so it knows it's you, and the drink goes zzz, and it's amazing. Okay, well, I'm easily amused. What can I say? Pretty fun. Oh, by the way, this was odd. You are also required to tip your robot bartender an 18% tip. So I bought a $4 non-alcoholic drink, a spritzer, and it charges me an extra 72 cents for the bartender. Not that the service wasn't excellent, but what? That's a little strange. I think the reason is that they charge 18% on everything as a tip pool, and they put it on a pool and they distribute it to people because there's people all over the boat that are doing stuff you never see. So they all get a little bit of a gratuity that way, I guess. Can't imagine what the bartender would do, a robot bartender would do with money. It seems very happy just to be shaking things up all the time. Yes, it will save your recipes. If you make up something, you have your own personal recipe catalog. It was a wonderful trip. A little crowded. I mean, these are giant boats. This one has 5,000. They're building a new one, the Harmony of the Seas, that will have 6,000 passengers. That's passengers. Another couple of thousand crew. You've got a little floating city. And that's kind of what it's like. They've got a mall, 2-story mall. I mean, it's like a real mall with stores and everything. They have on the back, you can surf, boogie board, because they have this wave rider they call it a flow rider, that's 40-mile-an-hour water going that you can surf on. And then behind you, I have a video of this if you want to see. You can look behind me. There are people the iFly thing, which is a giant fan that you can pretend you're parachuting. On a boat, rock climbing wall, bumper cars, crazy. But I did have a lot of fun. It was a nice cruise. I don't know if the robot bartender would cut you off. Somebody's asking if you had too much. I'm sorry, sir. It doesn't talk to you. I wish it did. How you doing? Buddy, you look down in the dumps. It's 2:45. There's no one in the place except you and Robbie the robot. I don't know. It'd be kind of fun. Anyway, I got to give you a little mini review. As I said, did not get paid by Royal Caribbean. They didn't even know I was on the boat. They know now. Too late. But it was very nice. Had a lot of fun. And boy, that is high tech. 8888 Ask Leo. Your phone calls next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, it costs more than the OLED. I don't know what I was thinking when I realized how expensive that cruise was. I thought, oh my God, what do I should have called them and said, hey, can I have a free cruise?
I saw that room.
Did you see the room?
I saw the room.
What was I thinking?
That's the most insane room I've ever seen on a cruise ship. And
Me
then
too.
I watched your video of the bartender or the robotic
Yeah,
bartender.
isn't that wild?
So it took me a long time. I'm looking at my phone.
To realize that you can look around.
I'm like, why is he taking a photo of the table?
Right. It looks like you're looking.
He doesn't have aim. And then I finally moved it at some point, and I went, oh my God,
it's all here.
I have to do this.
It's kind of weird. You have to get used to the camera that you don't aim it. You just put it there, and it takes everything, and then people can look at what they want.
Yeah, it was weird.
It is very
I thought
weird.
you were a little drunk and took a really bad video at first.
I bet you 90% of the people looking at that video still think that.
Yeah. I mean, it's only because I finally picked up the phone and moved it around.
Right.
I realized that it was the three.
And you can use your arrows, too, to move it around, right? Actually, you can't. You have to... Here, there. Now I can. So this is off the back of the boat. This is New Jersey. Oops. And then... I'm getting dizzy. I'm sorry. This is inside the room. So here's the living room. And then you go upstairs. So Michael, our son, was stayed down in the living room. They make up a bed out of the couch. And then you go upstairs. I've never been in a cruise ship with a room that had stairs.
I've been on 5 cruises. Every room I could barely even fit in.
No, I know. And you know, they have plenty of those rooms too. And this TV comes down from the ceiling. Zzz. But what I loved, and this is what I really wanted, was that you can look out over your balcony, and you can't tell here because it's so bright, but you can see the sea going out behind you, which is pretty cool. You're watching yourself sail. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I forgot to mention one kind of interesting feature of this boat. As with all cruise ships, there are inner cabins that don't have windows. And I've had inner cabins, and it's kind of, you feel like you're in a metal cell, really, because they're nicely appointed, but there's no windows. There's just a door. So what they've done on these Royal Caribbean ships is they have a giant screen that goes from floor to ceiling. Must be 100-inch, must be huge, TV screen, and it shows 5K video from the bridge. They're using red cameras on the bridge to shoot video that you then see in your room. You see the ocean, and it's real time. It's like what's going on right now. So if it's raining, it's raining. And I peered into one of these cameras. I thought, this is not so bad. You don't feel like you're in a cell. You psychologically, you feel like you're looking out the window. That's what super high res is for. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to BJ. He's in L.A. Hello, BJ. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. For years, you've recommended the Moto X, and now the Moto X has come out with the Moto X Pure. Just want to know your opinion between it and the Samsung 5 or 6.
Well, you know what? They're in different categories. I really like the Moto X Pure. I bought one, and I love it. And it's affordable. I think $350, right? Something like that. The Samsung Note 5 is twice as much. It's $650, almost twice as much, $650. So it's exactly what you'd expect. It is a little more premium. Much nicer screen. I think that's the biggest difference. Although the Moto Pure X Pure is very nice screen. Samsung, to its discredit, a negative is they, as you know, they add their own kind of skin on top of Android. They call it, I've forgotten the name of it, but it's not something desirable. TouchWiz, which kind of sounds cheesy. It sounds cheesy. It is. The Moto X is closer to pure Android with some nice additional features, like the Moto Assist, although I've heard that they're taking that out when they upgrade you to Marshmallow, which is very disappointing. Lenovo bought Motorola from Google, and now they're rebranding. It's now Moto by Lenovo, and I think slowly it's going to maybe lose that pure flavor. Nevertheless, these are for, if price is consideration, excellent phones for the dollar. I think really excellent phones.
I have another. I had a complaint that I bought a Moto G and I had problems with it.
It's very low end. That's even cheaper, right? That's $250.
And I got the worst customer service I've ever gotten from anybody from Motorola.
Well, there you go. And I think that's probably because it's now owned by Lenovo. I had good... Now, they're run out of Chicago still. The same people who were running it when they were a Google company still run it, but I suspect that change is starting to happen now. The fact that they're rebranding it tells me a little bit of that. Samsung's not going to be much better. Most of these companies expect you to get service and support from the phone store, from the carrier that sold it to you. Because while this is changing, most of the time still when you buy a phone, you buy it from a carrier. And so they expect the carrier to support it. We're rapidly changing, and Moto has this model. They don't sell generally through carriers. They sell direct. So they should have good service and support because you're going to be going to them for service and support. So I'm disappointed to hear that.
The phone was defective, and I sent it back, and they said they were going to send me another one within 4 days. I didn't hear anything from them for over a week, and I finally tried to get back to them, and they didn't know it. They didn't know who I was.
I think that's unusual. I've never had to go to Motorola customer service, but my people who have used them have said they're good. So I think you had an unusually bad experience.
Okay.
I don't think that's typical. Now, on the other hand, I have the Note 5. I put the pen in the wrong way. Remember that was a problem? And I broke that little sensor that senses when you take out the pen. Not the end of the world, but I brought it back to the AT&T store where I got it, with the pen halfway out, stuck in there. And I said, you can do anything about this? They said, no. So that's your problem. You stuck it in wrong. but that's an easy thing to do by accident. Doesn't matter. If you want to pull it out, put it back in, and then claim it's defective, I guess you could try that. But we'd have to take your phone. You wouldn't get a new one for quite a while. I said, no, I'll just live with it. Thank you.
So for the first-time Android user, that Moto X Pure is a good way to go?
Well, did you like the Moto G? Because it's software-wise similar. Imagine a Moto G with a bigger, better screen.
I didn't like whatever you call the interface. It was very difficult for me to use.
Okay, so you're an former iPhone user, or?
No, I have an old Samsung
you've never
that's like 10 years old.
So you've not used a smartphone, really.
No.
Yeah, so that the interface is going to be the same. If you did not like the interface on the Moto G, it's identical on the Moto X Pure. It's just a bigger screen.
You had to go in and delete each. You couldn't go in and pick which ones you wanted to delete on the phone calls that you got. Either you had to do it individually or all. You know, it was just very difficult.
Yeah, little things like that may be annoying. Samsung, that's one of the arguments for TouchWiz, is that Samsung looks at inconveniences like that and sometimes modifies it. So I should get my Note 5 out. I thought of the Note 5 was probably the best phone of the year. If the cost of the phone is not an issue, I think the Note 5 or the Galaxy S6 Edge, those are excellent phones. Now, you should be aware Samsung will be announcing S7 later in a couple of months, probably in March at the Mobile World Congress. And the Note 6 should be out in the fall. I think the Note 5 is excellent. If you ever think you'd use a stylus to draw on the screen, boy, it's great. And if you don't want a giant phone, because it's 5.7 inches, if you want something a little smaller, then the Galaxy S6 is an excellent phone. I've been very happy with it. Then it might solve some of those little things. I think, in fact, you can check which ones you want to delete and delete just those.
Good. Okay.
Try it in the store to make sure, because I'm doing this by memory. But I do seem to remember that you could do that.
I don't think I'd ever use the stylus for drawing.
Then get an S6. And don't get the S6 Edge for $100 more. That's a silly little feature. Just get the regular S6. I think, by the way, the best camera, fantastic camera in there. I don't know if that's important to you, but much better than the Moto X.
Can you add external SD cards?
No.
Memory larger?
No.
No. That was the one thing about the Moto Pure that you can do.
Yep. As you know, you don't need as much as you think. If you get a 64 gig edition, I think that's plenty.
Okay.
I agree, and a lot of people say I want SD cards. If you're going to put a lot of music or videos, I put audiobooks. I put gigs and gigs of audiobooks on mine, but I still have plenty of room on 64 gigs.
Okay.
All right. And if you really want a pure Android experience, doesn't sound like you do, probably the best Android phone from that point of view is the Google phone, the Nexus 5X or the 6P. Those are excellent too. But I have to say, I think the Galaxy S6, boy, that's I think one of my favorite Android phones of 2015. And the Note 5 was awesome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up right after this. Johnny Jet's here. I love him. Our traveling guru. And guess where he is today? He's in New York City. You're doing the New York Times Travel Expo.
I am. I'm speaking tomorrow at 2:30. And if you want to come see me speak, you can use the code ROCKSTAR and you'll get in. The first 100 people get in for free. Otherwise, it's $20.
Rockstar. And what are you talking about?
How to travel like a rock star.
Because that's what you are. Johnny Jet travels the world. He's beginning a new year with more travels, as always. I love that. And you're an inspiration, because traveling's in my heart. I love photography and I love traveling. I love taking pictures. As you know, we went on that crazy boat. I was talking about it earlier, the Anthem of the Seas. I'll give you the whole lowdown on that. It was nuts, but it was fun. We had a nice trip.
I followed along.
Did you? Did you see the 3D videos and all that?
That camera, I went and looked it up. I was like, I got to buy that camera.
So For you, it'd be great. Well, yes.
Because CES has some coming out right now. I didn't know if I should wait.
The one I used, the Ricoh Theta S, $350. It's a good deal. It does amazing. There will be better cameras. I don't think anything at CES is better yet.
Okay.
But I do think Ricoh, this is their third already. There's a few things I would have liked. External audio, so you could put a better microphone on it, because it's got little microphones on the top of it. And just higher resolution, because the pictures are HD quality, but the video is a little bit lower quality. Nevertheless, pretty neat, right? You can look around.
It was insane. I saw your suite, and I'm like, is this 360? And it really was. It was true 360.
You look around, and you move the phone around. So here's a question, though, for you, because we flew Virgin America, which I love. Virgin America is a great airline. I love it. And coming back, we got as always, this always happens. The boat gets in very early in the morning. We're at the Newark airport. So I said, can we get on an earlier flight? Because we were literally going to have to wait 8 hours, almost 10 hours in the airport. So they said, well, it's very booked. We don't think you'll get on, but there's a 10:30 flight to San Francisco. I said, great, that's fine. We'll put us on standby. So we sat there. They called us up. They said, if you don't mind, the three of us, if you don't mind traveling separately, you can get on. I said, oh, hallelujah. 10:30. We're sitting there. We're comfortable. The plane's full. We're ready to go. And then the stewardess very, very sweetly and very apologetically says, I'm sorry, you have to get off. The plane is overweight. The plane is overweight. Now, am I that fat? So all three of us got off. But the real added insult to injury, then 3 other people got on.
3 other people?
Well, at least 2. I think all 3. I think they filled those seats. So, first of all, how do they have a scale under the plane? How do they know? The plane is
the pilots know the weight and balances. I've actually been asked to get off the plane once before, but that was for a different reason. And then
I've been asked to move around on a commuter jet.
To move seats, yeah, especially a commuter jet.
But this is a giant Airbus.
Yeah. So, were you in first class or were you in coach?
We were in main cabin select, I think.
Main cabin extra.
Yeah.
Row 3 or the exit row?
Well, we
row
were mixed.
3 is my favorite.
Yeah, I do. No, actually, we were regular because it was standby, so we were just scattered around.
Okay.
Here's what I think. We're not, Virgin America Frequent Flyer Club is called Elevate. We're Elevate members. We're not Elevate Gold or whatever, the Platinum.
So the Gold members rolled up.
I think Gold members rolled up, and they said, hey, we just filled those seats with some losers, normal people. And they said, well, get them off. We want on the plane. I think that's what happened. Could that have happened?
Yes, for sure. That definitely could have happened.
That's why you want to be a frequent flyer. It's not for the free flights. It's the perks.
Well, without a doubt.
You can get that fat Leo kicked off the plane.
When I used to date a flight attendant, 10, 15 years ago, we used to fly standby, and I was sitting there in a first class seat. Actually, it wasn't even first class. The plane was full, and all of a sudden the flight attendant came down and said, you know what?
We got somebody.
An elite flyer just came up. You need to get off.
I think
it was
that's
so
what
embarrassing.
happened.
And I was like, I'll never fly standby again.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's what happened. But
they were apologetic.
It does pay to have membership. That's why I always tell people to stick to one airline as much as possible. I made American Airlines executive platinum this year, and I haven't flown coach in a while.
You're the kind of person that boots people like me off the plane.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I would that wouldn't be right.
It's I understand they probably didn't want to say, hey, somebody more important than you is here, so we're going to kick you off.
Was it Richard Branson?
But the plane is overweight. That kind of felt like an insult, especially when 2 more people get on.
Right. But the only thing is that you were traveling with a child, and so maybe they thought you didn't want to separate one.
No, we were
person.
separate. Oh, you could get one person off. Exactly. I see what you're saying.
And then you go on the later flights.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, maybe that was it. They did offer that before. They said
I'll
maybe
ask
we
my
could
friends.
do that.
I have some friends at Virgin America. You send me the details.
I tweeted it. I didn't make a big deal about it. I thought I made a joke about it because I thought maybe gain a little weight on the cruise or something. And the Virgin tweeted back saying, "Oh, so sorry. If there's anything we can do, let me know." Well, you could put me on the flight. No, too late. It's gone.
I gotcha.
Johnny Jett joins us, not for my complaints. That's not really why he's here.
I love to hear him, though.
He's here to help you travel better with apps, with websites. What do you got for us today?
So I got a website called sweetness.com. SUITENESS. So this is for people. They started off just in Vegas, but now they just expanded to Miami, and soon they're going to be going to LA and New York. But it's for people who just want to book a suite like yourself, like that big fat suite you had on the ship.
I like suites, yes.
And so you can put in, LA or Vegas. Actually, no, Miami or Vegas right now, and you can put in a suite. I just did it for Miami, and I'm looking at the JW Marriott Miami Vice Presidential Suite for $316 a night.
What?
So, instead of hoping that you'll get upgraded, this way you can book a suite in advance, and they only do suites. So I like this new website. It's a great concept.
Is it all different hotels or?
Oh yeah. I'm looking at Miami right now. There's at least 20 different hotels, maybe 30 that brought for the dates I just put in.
What is a suite? What makes a hotel room a suite?
Well, it's not. It's just a small standard room. So it could be, the suites have different. It could be a presidential suite with multiple rooms. It just could be a junior suite. Some hotels will say it's a junior suite, which is just really just a couch in the room, and a bed. But they all have different meanings, so you always got to find out. But usually a suite is a lot more room than
Yeah.
a standard.
Yeah.
And it all depends where you are. I'm in New York right now, and I'm in a regular room. And New York hotel rooms are notoriously
Tiny.
small, like
Teeny,
London.
teeny,
Yeah, my
tiny,
room's
yeah.
tiny. But I was in Hawaii for New Year's Eve, and I had a nice big suite at the Moana Surfrider.
Oh, you went to the Moana Surfrider for New Year's Eve?
Yes.
I'm so jealous, you dog. I went to bed at 10. But anyway.
I stayed up.
I should have stayed up. Apparently the ship was rocking.
I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So I got an app for you, too.
Yes.
So this one is called Pack Point. PACKPOINT.
I need
and
a packing
it's free
app. I
on both-
overpack.
Oh, good. It's free on Android and iOS. And so it's basically, it helps you make packing lists, and you can save them.
I need
You
this.
can add. You can do it for either business or leisure. And it will-
My bag was 75 pounds.
Will they charge you extra
Oh,
for that?
yeah. I paid $100 overage. Both ways.
sure.
Yeah.
Actually, you got lucky for the 100 because American charges, if you're even
Actually-
at 1 pound over 50, up to 70, they charge you $100.
Wow.
And over 70, a lot of times they won't even take it.
I was actually charged 50 each way. So that was thank you.
Virgin America has
Yeah.
Virgin America has very good policy
And
on that.
even though I was overweight, even though my bag was also overweight, they did not throw it off the plane. They threw me off, but not the bag.
But by the way, a lot of people don't realize if you're ever packing a lot, Virgin America allows, I think, 10 check bags
What?
for like $25 a piece. When
What?
everyone else would be thousands of dollars.
See, I love Virgin America, so I'm not going to hold it against them. I will continue to
Sure.
fly. Pack Point, smart packing list app. It's on iOS or Android. You make your own lists. You
select business or leisure trip,
I
and
like
you
this.
just go down the list and
I like
and
this.
ask you what kind of weather you're going to. And then you can put-
JohnnyJet.com. We're out of time, Johnny, but go to
right.
his website, all sorts of good stuff. Have fun.
Hey,
And
thank
use
you.
the offer code ROCKSTAR to go see him tomorrow at the New York Times Travel Conference. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo. I need a robot bartender in here. Wouldn't that be cool? But then you look at it and you go, well, how many bartenders would lose their jobs? And then can you do radio talk show host, robot radio talk shows? I bet you could.
It's coming.
Robot call screeners. This is not a good trend.
No, it's not.
Because who's going to pay for it? Because we're all out of work.
It's
That
a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. You know that fast food restaurants will have robotic servers, right?
Absolutely.
And then there'll be. I started my first job at McDonald's as a 16-year-old. What are teenagers going to do? There's no low-paying entry-level jobs because robots are doing it all. I liked working at McDonald's, by the way. Got a real taste for Big Macs, and that was the end. Renee on the line from Long Beach, California.
Hi, Leo.
That's what got me kicked off of Virgin America. Hi, Renee. How are you?
I'm great, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Well, recently Windows notified me that my hard drive was about to crash, so I shut it down, bought a new hard drive. I've reinstalled Windows. I reinstalled all the drivers that showed up in driver device manager.
Yeah.
And then Windows has been, and the machine's been running fine, and Windows has been updating for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And then this morning it came up and it told me that I was missing some drivers.
Uh-oh.
And so I went into I went to the base system. Well, they're saying I'm missing 3 base systems and an unknown device. And I know you can get the ID, so I copied and pasted the ID of the device into Google.
Let me slow you down. First of all, don't do that.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to Google drivers. So drivers are very risky because those are low-level pieces of software that can mess with you. And, of course, if I'm a malware author, the first thing I want to do is put a malicious driver on your system because then I have apps.
That's what I was worried
Yeah,
about.
so don't Google downloads like that. Probably those are drivers that come directly from the is the computer manufactured by one company?
It's by Dell.
Oh, Dell.
And when I did the
first thing you
reinstall,
should do is always go to the Dell site and get the latest drivers for that specific machine.
I did that, and it was very confusing. The first time I did that, it worked for a day, and then it crashed. Windows, when I reinstalled Windows the second time, Windows seemed to add most of the drivers, and then I do have a utilities disk from Dell and was able to find the one driver that I was missing. What I'm curious about here is, when you're in the device manager, the drivers that you're missing show up, and these drivers did not show up as being missing originally.
Well, what they'll say is, you'll get that unknown device, right? That's a sign.
Yeah.
Unknown device, or the red X on the driver means I don't know what this is. So, and you're right. Windows is designed to automatically install drivers in the update process, and in fact keep them up to date. But that's only the drivers Microsoft has and knows about. It's still coming from Microsoft, and so you always want to go to the manufacturer of a PC and get the critical drivers, the motherboard drivers, from that company, because those are specific. And the motherboard drivers include sound, networking, a lot of the stuff that's not working. Do you know what's not working?
There's nothing that's not working. This morning it just opened up and said that it was looking for these new drivers.
Right.
So when I went to Device Manager, it just shows up as base systems device. There are 3 of those, and one unknown device.
I think that's a motherboard.
I did go to Dell, and I did pop in the ID, and Dell didn't recognize the driver.
Yeah, that ID is just a hardware ID. What you want to do is you want to go to Dell and look at your specific machine, and you can do that with by the way, you have the Dell number, the device number on there.
Right, they identify my machine, and they do a search, but that's kind of weird too, because when they did the search, they told me that I needed to download the BIOS. When I downloaded the BIOS, they said, no, the BIOS is the same as the BIOS that's already on your machine. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how Dell's going to recognize, or how Dell's going to recognize these new driver readers.
What I would do is first unplug all USB devices. If you have a USB keyboard and mouse, obviously those can stay plugged in. But anything else that's attached, those may be the things, like a card reader, things like that. Those may be the things you're not getting drivers for. So unplug those. Delete any drivers that say unknown or have red X's on them in the device manager. Just click it and delete. Press the delete key. In other words, remove it. What that is a signal to Windows, to the machine, to update it. Leave those USB things unplugged. I'm suspecting that's those. Do you have additional USB peripherals plugged in?
Actually, the only USB peripheral I have plugged in now is the mouse.
Okay.
It's a wireless mouse.
Yeah, leave that.
And I got the driver for.
Yeah.
From,
no, leave that plugged in. I am not sure exactly which the space driver belongs to. In fact, I probably would never be able to find that out. If everything's working okay, then obviously it's just an annoyance. It may also eventually fix itself. Eventually Windows Update will get it.
Okay, so as long as the system is working okay,
I wouldn't worry about it. It's probably some extra thing you don't need, like a webcam or a card reader or something like that.
Well, that would be good. I did have it crash on me once after reinstalling.
What kind of crash? Blue screen or?
I don't know how. It just came up and said it. I think it was a blue screen, and then I got a black screen.
Did you have to restart the computer?
Actually, what I did was I just I reformatted the drive and reinstalled everything.
Okay.
To make sure.
When you have a hard crash like that, that usually is a faulty driver, a bad driver.
Yeah, but it hasn't done anything like that since I've installed this last time, and I was really more careful this last time.
Yeah, good. And I would make sure you have, use the hardware identifier, the Dell hardware identifier. Make sure you have all the drivers Dell specifies. Just install them. Just run the installer, because those are the critical ones. Those are the things that mean your machine works or not. And after that, I would reboot and let it fix it. It will fix it eventually. It may not fix it right away.
By the way, I was really surprised that Windows gave me a notice that the drive was about to fail.
So that's cool. Probably from your smart device. So hard drives, these smart hard drives, supposedly are going to let you know that. My experience has been they're very unreliable in that notice, that they can be spurious. It's always good to take it seriously. But I don't think it means necessarily go out and buy a new hard drive. Look at all the trouble you've had to go through. I would do what they used to say and what HAL 9000 said in 2001. I suggest we put the device back in service and let it fail. Because the smart warnings are hit and miss.
So I could do that. This laptop has 2 drive bays. You're saying that to put that driver back in that hard drive back in and see if it works?
Yeah. In fact, if it's not too much trouble, it might also tell you if all the drivers are working, then it is just a driver issue. But maybe there's another issue, a hardware issue caused by some of this futzing around on the insides. I don't know.
Well, you don't futz around too much on the inside.
Good. It's pretty accessible.
On the laptop, really, the hard drives are really available.
Good. That's a good thing.
One other question is, what do you think about solid-state drives versus...
Love them. Highly recommend them.
Okay.
And the prices have gone down finally. They used to be very expensive per gigabyte. They're now still not as cheap as a spinning drive, but because they're not spinning, no moving parts means they're actually more reliable. And they've gotten very good. The new Samsung EVO drives, the 850 and the 850 Pro, just superb drives, fairly affordable. Truthfully, I don't buy a computer without SSDs anymore, the solid-state drives. They make such a difference in performance. We've actually hit the point now where the speed of the hard drive may be the single most important factor in the speed of your computer. We don't wait for the CPUs, we wait for the I/O. And that may be more important. Our processors are so fast now. It's the hard drive is the best way to make a difference, even with a slower. You might check the Dell. Somebody in the chat room is suggesting, and I agree with this, the Dell has auto updater software. Make sure you're running that. Let Windows or the Dell updater do its thing. After a period of time, I think you probably will notice these going away, as long as it's working. That's a weird problem. Drivers, it's... This is why I tell people, get a Chromebook, get an iPad, get a tablet. PCs are finicky beasts, and we really shouldn't have to worry about stuff like this. For people who don't need a full-blown, multi-purpose computing system, don't. Just get a tablet, get a Chromebook. Much easier, much simpler. You don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. More of your calls coming up, hour 3, right around the corner. Hey, our show today brought to you by Headspace. This is a sponsor I kind of... have a soft spot in my head as well as my heart for. Headspace is about meditating. Now, don't think there's no magic, you don't have to fold your legs in some weird way and chant a mantra. It's not like that at all. But it does have the benefits of eliminating stress, anger, fear, anxiety. Those things not only get to you, they hurt your health. The mind-body connection is very real. And all of that stress can make you sick. But you don't have to live that way. You don't have to have a hard time sleeping or hard time getting through the day. 10 minutes of guided meditation a day with the Headspace app, and I love this. You will feel good. You'll be happier. Your loved ones will notice the difference. They'll say, you seem happier, calmer. It's meditation made simple, and it's partly because of the guy behind it. I love him, Andy Puttycombe. He's got a great, lovely British accent. He was a monk. He's well-trained and studied in meditation. He leads all the meditations. Maybe you saw his TED Talk, and if you haven't, you should have seen it. Andy, Puddicombe, Puttycombe. His TED Talk has 5.5 million views. He's the founder of Headspace. And thousands of scientific studies have absolutely shown the positive effects, improving focus, improving relationships. And their Take 10 program, available right now, is absolutely free for you at headspace.com/techguy. All I ask you to do, download the app and do the Take 10 program. Just that. That's it. 100% free. You get the idea. And if you like it, Stick with it. If you don't, doesn't matter. 10 days of guided meditation. That's enough to really know what it is and make a difference in your life. Don't think it's some froofy, airy-fairy thing. This is a transformational technology, literally. And having it on your smartphone is awesome. Headspace.com/techguy. Headspace.com/techguy. Train your mind for a healthier, less stressed life. And it's free right now. And you can thank me later. I've been doing it since July. I'm loving it. In fact, I think I said, Lisa, can we get these guys on? I want to do an ad for them. And she said, okay. Let me talk to them. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and yes, even PC drivers. I haven't had an interrupt request for at least 10 years, though, so that's good. 8888, Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere. And don't forget the website. That's where all the information from every show is archived forever, including audio and video and links, everything you need to know. And it's free, and there's no sign-up. You just go to techguylabs.com. Rose in Los Angeles. Thanks for hanging on, Rose. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Rose.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2 years wait, 2 hours waiting.
Are you celebrating the 2 hours, Rose? Is there something going on in the background there?
Something went on my computer.
Oh, good. Okay. It sounded like a party. Thank you for your patience. That's why I say thank you for your patience. I appreciate your waiting. What can I do for you?
I have a quick question. I need a very inexpensive black and white wireless printer.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. There are $50 black and white inkjet printers. Wireless, they're cheap. The reason they're so cheap is because they're going to get you when you have to buy another ink cartridge.
I meant to say cheap to run.
That's the big one, Rose. You hit the nail on the head. The cost of consumables, and that's what they call it. Paper is not that expensive. Ink. The cost of consumables is really the real true cost of any printer, and any printer price, you have to consider that along with the upfront cost. And inkjet is very expensive. So in general, if you want to lower the cost per page to a few cents, you might look at a laser printer. But I've got to tell you, our sponsor, Epson, really has done a great job. They make printers that cost as little as 1.3 cents a page for their inkjet printers because they've lowered the cost of ink. And I do say that they are a sponsor. I want to make that clear. But I'm going to send you to an article in PC World where they actually do a table. One of the most, I'll give you this is from the article. One of the most inexpensive consumer inkjets to run is the Canon Pixma, and I do like this, IP4700. The Canon Pixma, Pixma. It's $100, and the cost per page is 4.3 cents. That's for black. Color is actually less expensive, 2.6 to 2.8 cents a page. So that's a good example of an inexpensive upfront printer. Now, on the other hand, you could go and get a $180 HP OfficeJet Pro, a wireless printer. And the ink will be 2.6 cents a page, but color 2.2 cents. So that's even less expensive. The printer's more expensive up front. But according to PC World, in this article, and I'll put a link to this in the show notes.
I read that article and it confused me further.
It does, doesn't it? They say the least expensive printer is the Epson. Now, it's an expensive printer to buy. The B510DN. It's a $599 printer, but its cost per page is 1.3 cents. Thing is, if you include the cost for the printer and then amortize it over the 2, 3, 4 years you might be using it, or actually the best way to do it is figure out how many pages am I going to print with it. I don't know how you'd figure that out, but guess. and then add the cost of the printer, I think that may not be the cheapest printer just because it's so expensive, right?
Correct.
So
I have my big printer with scanner and everything in another office. This is just to have in a private office that I have where I don't want to go because the other printer is not wireless.
yeah.
It's so that I can have from my iPad or my phone. It's just more a luxury than a need. So that's what I need to.
Yeah,
keep,
and it's going to be a light duty printer. It sounds like it's not gonna,
right.
Yeah, not a lot of pages. So it really.
No anything. It's just emails, documents, things like that.
Yeah. I think that one thing to consider, and again, this is an advertiser, is these Epson printers that come with the ink in the box. Their upfront cost is higher, but because you're not buying more ink cartridges, it's cheaper. And then the cartridges themselves are very cheap. What I do not recommend, and I know people do this, is reusing inkjet cartridges by injecting new ink into them. That is a way to save money, but it is often messy and can break the printer. So I generally say you're going to have to figure out what the cost of the printer is based on using the company's inkjet cartridges, and those are expensive, right? I'm gonna have to do some searching here because this is the best article I've seen, this PC World article. But if you find it confusing, then maybe we can kind of break it down. I wish they would give you just a table. Wouldn't that be nice, where you could just look at the table? Correct. Yeah.
My problem is I need to keep it cheap to buy and cheap to run.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I think that that Canon Pixma, which is $100, not the cheapest inkjet out there, but it has a fairly low cost per page. They're very nice. The Pixmas are very nice printers. I'm very happy with those. And then what you look at is the cost of the ink cartridges and how many pages that ink cartridge is going to print. And that'll give you some idea. Mm-hmm. If you want it cheap up front and cheap to buy, that's a little trickier. Chat room's giving me a link to a great site, which I do trust, called The Wirecutter. It's called thewirecutter.com. Okay. And they say the best cheap printer out there is a Brother, it's a $100 printer. The Brother HL L2340DW. The cost per page is among the cheapest we've ever seen, they say. Setup is easy. This is a laser printer, and that's why it's cheap cost per page. But since you don't want color, a $100 laser printer probably is going to be the least expensive way to print. They say that it's about 2 cents of toner per page. That's the ink in a laser printer. And even if you include the costs of buying a new drum, because that does wear out eventually on laser printers, we're talking about 2.7 cents per black and white page. That's pretty good, especially for a $100 printer.
Right.
So, and I trust these guys. So they say their favorite is a Brother laser, the HL L2340DW. I'll put a link in the show notes to this. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I think that sounds like a good way to go. Nice thing about laser printing, I don't recommend it for color. Color lasers tend to be washed out. But the nice thing about laser printing is the cost per page is always low. They're fast. They're quiet. They cost more sometimes to run because they have to heat up, and that may use more power. They're a little slower to start up for the same reason. They have to heat them up a little bit. That's how they fuse the toner. A laser printer is just like a Xerox machine or a copy machine. It works completely different than an inkjet printer. Inkjet printer sprays ink onto the page, and they've gotten so good at this technology. They've really micro dots, tiny, tiny little microliter dots onto the page, and they do it very quickly and rapidly. A laser printer works quite differently. It actually, in effect, puts an image of the page in toner on a drum. It's more like a printing press. And then it rolls it off into the paper and then heats it to fuse it, to melt the toner and fuse it so it doesn't run. So it's just a different way of operating. The cost of the toner is the cost of printing. Those Brothers are pretty good. $90, that's a pretty good price. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Back to the phones we go. And Greg is in Conifer, Colorado. Hi, Greg.
Hey, good afternoon, Leo. I've got two questions. One of them is I've uploaded my music from my PC to my Amazon cloud drive, but I want to access it with my Amazon Echo. I assume, I'm hoping that's possible, and I don't know how to do it.
I'm trying to think. I have an Echo, too. In fact, I have two Echoes. I just fell in love with them. If they weren't so expensive, I'd have Echoes everywhere.
Well, yeah, I've got three, actually, and I got the good deal to begin with, and so on and so on. But that's what I'm trying to do.
I know it will do Amazon Prime Music, but that's a very limited subset of the total of what you might have on there. So let me look. My sense is it doesn't, but let me look and see. I'm going to look in the supported services. It says it supports Amazon Music, yeah. To play, okay, here we go.
Okay.
To play your personal music on your Alexa device, you can upload music from your computer to your Amazon Music library. You've done that.
Yeah.
And then you need to have the syntax, and that's the key on all of these speech things. You have to know how to ask for it.
Right.
So let me see what it says. Just say play. So you would say, I'm not going to say her name because we don't want to wake up Amazon Echoes all over the country.
Yeah.
But you know her name, and you say, "Hey Echo," I'll say, "Hey Echo, play," and you say the name of the song that you have in your library. It should just play it. Let me look at. Here's another one. This is.
I'm trying to get it to play a folder full.
That's
what I'd like to do.
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, I think if you can you create playlists in your? I can't remember. Can you create playlists in your Amazon Music?
Well, let's see. In my
folders, it won't. Folders, it won't work. It might work with albums. It might work with playlists. Amazon Music is not the. I'm reading a post on a fan site, lovemyecho.com. Lovemyecho.com.
All right.
This sounds like you have the premium, right? Get your music out of any other cloud store.
Amazon Prime, if that's what you mean.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to put the link to this because it's a very long article on the show notes. Or you could just go to lovemyecho.com.
I'll do that.
And it sounds like you can do it. I've never spent time doing it. A lot of times when I ask for a song, it plays a 30-second snippet, which is not what I want. And I think you want to have a whole playlist, don't you?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I think you need to create a playlist, and it should be able to do that.
Okay.
I wish it had better speakers. So here's my question to you. Do you just listen to the music on your Echo speaker?
You mean as opposed to other devices?
Yeah, what I'd really like to do is say, hey, Echo, play my classical music playlist on my stereo. Now, wouldn't that be nice? I feel like that's what's missing from the Echo. It's a decent speaker, but it's not a great speaker. For audiobooks, I listen to them all the time. You could just say literally, hey, Echo, read my book. And it will read your current audiobook out loud to you. I love that. In fact, it's one of the reasons we bought more of them, so I could have it in every room.
And now you can play Jeopardy.
Yeah, I love that. You can have it tell you jokes.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's how I wake up in the morning. Well, the audio quality is so important because I go from room to room. We just turn on while we're running around the house, and not what I would call serious listening.
You're lucky you don't have a teenager around because our kid has realized he can prank us with the Echo.
I do that to my father.
Yeah.
He's 93.
I woke up at about 4 in the morning. The Echo alarm is going off. And I realized, Michael must have set the alarm. It's easy. You say, hey, Echo, set an alarm for 4 a.m. Actually, I think he set a timer. Set a timer for 24 hours or whatever. Thank you, Michael. Knock it off. He likes every once in a while he'll walk by and say, "Hey, Echo, self-destruct." Have you tried that one?
No.
Does a lot of Echo is Amazon is this is a fascinating stealth product because they've slowly taken over the world with this thing, and anybody who has one starts to really love it. We use TuneIn. You can listen to my show, by the way, through iHeartRadio or TuneIn on Echo. You can actually ask to listen to Leo. You can use the Echo as a Bluetooth speaker, so that means you can pair your Bluetooth with your phone. Now, maybe that's the easiest solution for you. If you can access your Amazon Music on your phone, which of course you can, is just pair it and play it through your phone to your Echo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the key word on that is, her name, Echo, pair Bluetooth, and she'll walk you through it.
Yeah, okay. Can you get time for one more question?
Sure.
On one very subject. So I have a 120 gigabyte SSD on one of my main computers, and it's almost full. I look at it with WindorsStat, and my Windows folder is 53 actually gigabytes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think that's because I'm important. I think
that's normal. That's bigger than the Windows software. What it probably is temp files or cache files or your swap disk.
It's in the installer. 28 gigabytes, and then it shows various files using WindorsStat. I can look at them, but I don't want to dink around with Windows.
Well, I don't blame you because you could delete something important. It may be your registry has ballooned out of proportion, although it shouldn't be that big. 28 gigs in the installer folder?
Yeah.
I know what those are. Those are the hot fixes.
There are a lot of patches in there.
Yeah. Are you Windows 10 yet?
No.
So one of the things I don't think Microsoft should do but does do is it downloads your Windows 10 update ahead of time. That's only 3 gigs, though.
Yeah.
But there are going to be things like that maybe system restore points that you probably could delete. But I think a lot of those are hot fixes that you don't want to delete.
Right. Yeah.
That's awfully big. 50 gigs for Windows is very big.
Yeah, it's all wrong.
I would just clear the temp cache, clear the temp files, and just the rest of it. You're right. Don't mess with.
Well, I have done that. I've done Windows temp and the
You've emptied that out.
Few megabytes.
Well, you've got the program I'd recommend. WindorsStat, which is a free third-party download, shows you graphically exactly what's taking up space.
It sure does.
And you've done the Windows disk cleanup utility.
I have.
Yeah. So I wouldn't do more than that. That thing, that's the only safe thing that you could do. There is in Windows, in the disk cleanup, there is a Windows update cleanup you might want to try, but you can't delete those hot fixes. They need to stay there. They're not just installers. Disk cleanup's as far as I'd go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. David's in Laguna Niguel, California. Our next caller. Hi, David. Hello, David. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for being very patient. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, okay, glad you had a trip. I'm glad you're home. Here's my question. I want to install a couple of security cameras, kind of wired. You buy them from a big box store. They give you a hard drive, the cameras, and the cable.
Yep.
They say, you got 600-foot cable. Well, what if I got 90 feet or 110 feet? I want to have extra cable. I don't want to have less. What can I do to make my own?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't get wired cameras. I would get Wi-Fi cameras. But
okay.
It depends on. Of course, it's easy to make your own cables. That's not a hard thing to do. But what you've got to do is get the right connector on each end and make sure that you have the right number of wires in the cabling. But you can go anywhere at monoprice.com would be a good start to get those parts. And you also want to get a cable making tool. They're very easy to use and not expensive. Your first few cables may not be perfect, but you'll get good at it. We used to do our own Ethernet cables for that reason exactly, because you want to have them not too long and not too short, but just right.
Right.
And it's just a process of getting the right cabling with the right number of wires and ground and everything in it, and the right attachment. Do you know how the cameras attach?
I don't. There's RJ11s, there's HDMI, there's any number of them.
Right.
You got a recommendation? What do you like?
No, well, like I said, we generally use wireless. You still need a wire. You need power.
Right.
But wireless is nice because you're just totally flexible at that point. And a lot of cameras now use Wi-Fi. That's very common. And because most homes have Wi-Fi, that's a simple solution.
Okay.
The problem with Wi-Fi, of course, is HD cameras use a lot of bandwidth. And when you have multiple cameras on a Wi-Fi network, you'll use up so much bandwidth you won't be able to use your internet anymore. So that's the good argument for doing it wired. But a lot of people don't do wired unless they're building a house because you don't want to have cable all over the walls and everything, right?
No, but it's got attics and crawl
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you could totally do that. It's just a question of finding the right pieces. You get RJ11 connectors. These cable tools will actually eliminate, the kind of fiddly getting the wires in the right hole and all of that stuff. They actually snap it all together. It's very easy to use.
Yeah.
You just have to get the one for that. So pick your cameras first. We like Axis for wired cameras, AXIS. But there's I can't even say there's a perfect company for this because there's so many.
Yeah.
And really it's all the same thing.
It all looks pretty good.
It all is very good. Really, what you're deciding is what features you want. Do you want professional monitoring, or are you going to monitor it yourself? Do you want it recording to a hard drive? Then you have to, a DVR in the house, or do you want to have it recording over the internet? All of these things. These are the features you have to decide. The quality of the image. Do you want night vision? Do you want to have sound? Do you want it on all the time or only when it detects motion? Do you want motion detection? Do you want it to be able to email you if there's motion detection? All of these are features you have to consider.
Got it.
All right?
All right.
But I don't think making the cables is going to be the hardest part. That's actually pretty easy. And as I said, if you can, test your cables, especially the first few. Make sure you did them right. Sometimes that first few cables don't work very well. But the thing is, it's so cheap to buy the pieces and assemble it. It's so much cheaper than buying the ready-made cables that you make a few just to get good at it, to get proficient. Throw those out, and the rest will be great. Peter, Detroit, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Peter.
Leo, how are you? My wife and I visited you in September. Pete Rose from Detroit.
I remember. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us again.
No problem. Hey,
Alaska cruise. You're going to have so much fun. That's this summer?
Yeah, this September.
Great.
I have a Nexus 6 phone.
Okay.
And I have a Windows 640 XL phone. They're both kind of large phones. They're both nice cameras, but I need your opinion. What do you think? Which one is the best?
I'm not crazy about the camera in the Nexus 6, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
But take pictures. The thing are you going to bring a regular camera?
You know what? I think I am.
I would, and I'll tell you why. Zoom. So you're going to be on the boat. You're going to be on the rail. You're going to be looking at these amazing glaciers.
Right.
But if you take a picture with a camera phone, those are pretty wide angle. And the glaciers are going to look really small. And that's not going to impress your family and friends when you get back. Look at this glacier. See how gorgeous, but so tiny. Whereas if you you can get a great point and shoot right now for a couple $100 that will have zoom, that'll let you make that glacier look as majestic as it does in real life.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. You know what?
Same thing with penguins. You got to zoom in. There, you can't get close to them. I don't think you'll see any penguins.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
I gave you a recipe of my mom's sauce. I'm hoping you guys made it.
I did, and it's fabulous.
Oh, did you make it already?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you. It was great.
I will tell my mom that. I'll tell Angie that.
Please. Sauce is everything.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't matter. Pasta's important, but you got to have a great sauce.
God, heck yeah.
Hey, have a wonderful trip, Pete. I'm so glad you're getting to go. I took my son on an Alaska cruise about 10 years ago. You'll never see more beautiful. Well, I presume the glaciers are still there. You'll never see anything more beautiful than those glaciers. And Sitka's fun, and Ketchikan, Juneau. It's really that's a fun cruise to take, and you're gonna have a great time. But yeah, if you're doing something like that, you're spending a lot of money to go. It's probably a once in a lifetime thing. People don't go to Alaska every summer. Get a good camera. It's funny, on this most recent cruise, I did bring a good camera. I took very few pictures with it. I took mostly iPhone pictures. But having the capability of getting a small light point and shoot, a Canon or a Sony, the Olympus, the TG4, inexpensive. It's waterproof, dust-proof. You can even take it in the pool and take underwater pictures. And that's a great choice. Nice zoom, excellent images, and video too. I know nowadays we don't really need cameras. We don't need to carry around cameras, except for one thing, zoom. That makes a big difference. 8888 Ask Leo. Guess who's next? The Gizwiz. I don't know if he's still at CES, but he's got some CES gadgets for us. Some of the most interesting stuff at CES is the kind of junky stuff in the basement, and that's where the Gizwiz goes. So we'll talk to Dick in just a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Tell you another thing about traveling, especially on the airplane. That's when you read the magazines, right? That's when you get, a stack of magazines. And it used to be you'd have to do that because you couldn't use your Kindle or your tablet when you're in the plane. Now you can. So don't bring a stack of magazines. For your next trip, get a subscription to Texture. Texture is the way to read magazines. You can get a trial right now at texture.com/techguy. Not a 14-day, but a 30-day free trial. And you're going to put it on your phone or your tablet. And then you get all these magazines. In fact, let me show you. All the best magazines are available on Texture. They have two different tiers. They have the basic tier, which is $10 a month. It's kind of like Netflix for magazines. All the magazines you can read. And if you want to get every magazine, $15 a month for their premium. In every case, you get everything in the magazine. And you get past issues as well as the magazines on the newsstand right now. Plus, you get additional stuff that they can only do on tablets, like video, extras, bonuses. Plus, the Texture editors will offer suggestions for stuff that you're going to really love. Daily stories, their curated collections. See, I can tell you right now, I love Esquire and National Geographic and Wired, but frequently I only want to read Rolling Stone. There's almost every month, there's one article I want to read in Rolling Stone. Do I want to subscribe to Rolling Stone for one article? Do I want to buy an issue on the newsstand, which is even more expensive for one article? No. So what I do is I got Texture, and I can see everything. I can read a little bit of People and Us magazine, too, a little Entertainment Weekly every once in a while. Great recipes from cooking magazines, Men's Health and other fitness magazines. I love it. I can read the stuff I want, when I want. Look at all the travel stuff. Condé Nast Traveler, National Geographic, Backpacker, Coastal Living, Country Living, Midwest Living, Southern Living. There's great stuff. I want you to try it out. Free right now, texture.com/techguy. 30-day free trial, unrestricted access to the world's best magazines. And it's free for the next month. Are you going on a trip? This is the time to try it. I think you'll want to subscribe. We brought it with us. We loved it on the airplane, on the boat. Love it. Texture, Texture. We've been doing their ads for a while. Remember, it was Next Issue. They changed the name to Texture by Next Issue. Texture.com/techguy. You'll love it. Ladies and gentlemen, his very last appearance on the radio show because he plans to win the Powerball tomorrow. Dick DeBartolo.
Yes, say you'll be working for me. I'm going to buy Twitch.
Dick is the Mad Magazine's maddest writer and the Gizwiz. Joins us every week with gadgets galore. They bought, I think, $40 worth of Powerball tickets at here at the studio. And I said, "What if you win? I'm going to lose all my employees. This is a bad idea." Fortunately, they only won $4.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're quitting over $4.
No, but they're going away for 3 weeks to Hawaii. They're very frugal.
Very frugal bunch. So, Dick, you went to CES.
I went to CES, and I have a T-shirt that says "I survived CES."
Yeah, that's a bit.
Yeah, no,
is it getting harder?
Well, it's hard. The thing is, I look for the really offbeat stuff. So when you eliminate, going to LG and Sony and Samsung, it's a little bit easier. I mean, some of the stuff is just is weird. When someone says, "Did you see the play console for dogs?" I said, "No, but I want to."
Wait a minute. You mean like it's like a video games for dogs?
Well, you hit buttons and food comes out if you get the right combination. Yeah. Oh, Ozzy
would love this.
Yeah. But what struck me so funny, Leo, is aisle after aisle, almost every aisle had one hoverboard for sale, variations of it.
Yeah.
And then way at the back of the hall, I see this giant lit sign, Segway. And I thought, let me go down and talk to the people at Segway, because every hoverboard said it's a Segway without a handle.
Right,
exactly. So I walk down, and as I approach, here's a model on a hoverboard by Segway. So it's new. It's not exactly a hoverboard.
It's a robot, they said.
It's a lot more. It can convert to a robot. It's called the Segway Mini Pro. And what's different about it is there's like the control bar for it is in the middle of where you stand, and it touches your calf muscles. So instead of having to lean your whole body, you just move your calf muscles back and forth to steer it. And instead of plastic tires, it has inflatable rubber tires. So
which the Segway, the big boy Segway. By the way, I own a big boy Segway.
I know, and that's what's going to get you, is because the retail price of the Mini Pro is $1,500.
Oh, a lot less than a Segway, like a third.
And they expect it to hit Amazon at about the $1,300 price point. But they are making, and they had no date for it, a robot that you can use with it, but already it is Bluetooth enabled. So if you want to have your Mini Pro run around on its own, you can direct it from your smartphone.
Oh, that's interesting. So you can say, "Come here, Segway."
Exactly. Or, "Here, Segway, take this over and give it to John." Or
I have to say,
Alex.
the handle on the Segway really is more for stability, to give you the comfort. Oh my goodness, it blinks.
Yes. Well, that's the optional.
Can I sit on the
robot
head?
thing.
Because I'd like to sit down. That's really what I'd like to do.
No. I asked about that. They said no sitting allowed.
Oh.
Yeah.
And do you feel like this is as easy to use as a Segway? Because that's the other thing that I think is great about the Segway compared to a hoverboard, is it's very easy to learn how to use it.
Yeah, the model, where I was, they only had a stage for the model, so I didn't get on it. But it looks a lot more stable, only because you have that those two bars against your calf muscles.
Yeah, there's something to lean on.
Yes, exactly. You don't feel like you're just going to totally fall off.
We gave Michael a hoverboard, and he became very adept at it almost instantaneously.
Yeah. How old is he?
13.
Yes. Hello.
I don't dare get on it.
Hello.
Now that we're back from vacation, I'm going to take a chance. I didn't want to break my ankle before our vacation.
No, I think
So they say $1,300, huh?
Exactly. Top speed is 10 miles an hour. The range is 19 miles. Recharges in 4 hours.
All right.
And
so the Segway, the full-size Segway, is more like $6,500.
Yes, I said, "What's the cheapest Segway?" And they said $6,450.
Yeah. This, by the way, is not the original Segway company. They sold out to a company from China that they'd been suing for years to keep out of the U.S. Ninebot, that made a Segway clone.
Yes, I was talking to the guy, and the guy said, "Yeah, so Ninebot was suing us." And Ninebot said, "Well, how much money do you want for the company?
We'll just buy the whole thing."
Buy the thing.
Well, good. Now they've done some innovating. That's good.
Yeah.
So, okay, I wouldn't mind. What is this called?
No. This is called the Mini Pro, the Segway Mini Pro.
It's more like a hoverboard in the sense of the range and the speed. That's hoverboard range and hoverboard speed.
And I like the inflated tires, so you can go over some cracks in the sidewalk.
I mean, that's one good thing about the Segway.
Exactly.
It's a little more comfortable to ride.
Yes. And also, the name behind it, I don't think you're going to have battery troubles with something built by
It's not going to catch on fire, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's like 5 times more expensive than the cheapest hoverboard, so maybe...
Yeah, but the cheapest hoverboard...
It's got little arms. What do the arms do?
It can. This is one of the projects that they're working on for the future.
Can it bring you a drink?
It'll actually be a little robot. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Well, the nice thing, it'd be a lot easier to put in the car. It's really a pain to get your Segways in the car.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It weighs 28 pounds.
20, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy, but it's not Segway heavy.
Not Segway heavy. Dick DeBartolo is the GizWiz. You'll find him at gizwiz.biz. That's where you can play the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Don't forget his GizWiz podcast. You can see that each and every week at gizwiz.tv or subscribe and download it automatically. Thank you, Dickie D. I hope you can recover. You didn't get it sounds like you didn't get the CES cold.
I did not.
I did not.
I got back in the morning and I'm okay.
All right. It's great to see you again, Dick. We'll talk again next week. I got a minute left. Maybe I can help Carrie in Lake Tahoe. Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
What can I do?
I recently installed Windows 10. I took the free upgrade about 2 weeks ago, and it was working fine. And then the little Windows key that you click on to turn your computer off, when you left-click it, it does nothing. When you hit the Windows key on the keyboard, it does nothing. You can right-click it and get a menu, but there is a place you can turn it off.
You want to know how to turn your Windows 10 computer off. Windows 10 is a little different. Did you go from Windows 7 or Windows 8?
I have 7, and it's been working fine. And then a few days ago,
it just stopped working. Huh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to log into my Windows 10. So when you can't just click on the Windows Start menu anymore. You have to right-click on it?
Left-click does nothing.
Okay.
Right-click gets you a list of things that, like, I can't find. There's nothing in there of all programs.
Yeah. No, you don't want the right-click is a different kind of menu. It's kind of a professional, for the. But so you're not getting the start menu. I think. Have you tried a different mouse? Is it a trackpad or a mouse?
It's a mouse.
Yeah, I would try a different mouse. It might just simply be your mouse button is not working anymore. The other thing to do is look in the system or the control panel and make sure you didn't turn off or switch right-click and left-click. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today and Tech News Tonight. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.